Welcome back to LCS Academy. It's the final day of the regular season, and IMT just set up what could be a lot of ties. Cage and Rage, I think, is how we summed it up. There is potential for 4 tiebreaker games. It's not a high chance, but there is a chance.
There is definitely a chance, and let me tell you, the extravaganza that's going to happen if Dignitas win this next game is going to be ludicrous, because we could start getting into 4-way tie scenarios. Pastry time, that's exactly what we're looking at right now, but both these teams have a lot to gain on this game. Dignitas, of course, can make their way into the proving grounds with this TSM, same exact thing, but if either one of them loses, they could very well find themselves in that feared 7th or 8th place.
Yeah, and of course there are still qualifiers after that, but you really just want to secure a spot now and not have to worry about playing any additional games. And with that, Game 2 is indeed Dignitas Academy versus TSM Academy. 2 teams that have kind of had a pretty up and down season so far, and also teams that came from very different places. So kind of starting with Dignitas. Dignitas are weirdly becoming like the veteran academy team. This is the team that seems to collect all the older players, all the players that have been around for a while. Good players, certainly, but they are collecting a lot of the veteran talents now that are kind of populating academy from North America.
Certainly with Lorlo and Acadian heading things up, you got to think about what they're going to be able to pull off today, because especially in this matchup, I feel like Acadian is going to be crucial in determining who's going to get ahead and who's going to really take over the game, because in this jungle matchup, in this current meta, you have to worry about who gets the first shot and how you can follow up that first shot, because as we saw in this last game, you can get the first shot and that's all good and fine, but if you don't follow that up, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, Dig, lots of star power. I think Acadian has been anywhere from among the top junglers in Academy to in finals for LCS. This is a player that has shown a very wide range of skill, and I think is still very good and trying to kind of make his way through Academy and prove that maybe he can indeed play on the bigger stage again. Lolo, again, similarly, massive journeyman, huge grinder, great streamer too, actually, if you ever need a top lane stream to check out. And Yasui, another player that's just been on the precipice of taking over. I feel such a strong carry threat, hugely diverse champion pool. Dignitas are a really fun team, and they've added a newer talent in the bottom lane to kind of maybe boost things up a little bit. But on the flip side, TSM Academy kind of did the opposite. I guess they have some veteran anchors here, especially Kwanzaa is a player that you think of. Babip also from OCE, but is a player that's been there for a while. Cody also has been around for a while, but Sword is really the big one for me. Sword and Fizzy, obviously the newer players, and Sword is a talent that TSM have been sitting on for actual years.
Yeah, he's been around the scene, but not really a whole lot on camera or on the Rift that we've seen. It's been sort of up and down for him, as he's had some picks where he looks really good. The Twisted Fate is kind of one of his weaker picks, but when he gets on his control mages, he's a pretty solid player, and I think as the games continue, as he continues to progress as a player, he's going to look really, really strong going forward, and especially under the veteran leadership of, as you mentioned, Hanser, Babip, and Cody's son. I think that there's a lot that this player can do, and going forward, I want to see what his champ pool can do, and I want to see what he can do with his carry potential that we know he has.
Yeah, Sword is one of those players that if you're familiar with the North American scene, kind of under Academy Amateur, those things, you should be very excited to watch Sword play. But I think it does come with kind of the caveat you mentioned of he's very young, he's very new to professional play, and even though TSM have had him signed to their junior team for a long time now, not a player that we expected to come out and absolutely dominate the league. Ideally, he would have done that, right, for himself and his fans, but I don't think that's a fair thing to put on such a young new player, to just be oh, they're super good on solo queue, they're going to smash this league. Clearly that's not the story here for TSM Academy, as they're trying to develop, more of these talents, whether they're foreign talents like Babip, who is a very promising OC player who has been around for a little while, veteran talents like Honsu, who want to prove maybe Darshan that you can still learn and improve if you've been around for a while, or brand new, someone like Sword, who is still very, very exciting, but clearly needs time to gestate in Academy and to kind of get used to this level of play.
And I think that he's going to get that. Unfortunately, we are in the last week of the regular season, so it's really make or break, and it's unfair to put this pressure on him, but unfortunately, that's just the situation he finds himself in. He has to really pick it up this week, and especially in this game, because it could come down to the tiebreakers if TSM loses this game, and right now they are staring down the barrel of 8th place. I believe they're looking at right now. It could happen. Actually, 7th place now that I'm looking at my notes. And when you're in that situation, you have to give it your all. You have to go all in, and you have to do everything that you can, and you have to facilitate the things on your team that can work, whether that's Sword Babip or even Fizzy, who's had these great games, especially his Thresh game that I'm remembering. He can just do incredible things, and if the draft works out for them, they have the ability to pull this upset off.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's pretty close. The cutoff is 6th. And right now, TSM potentially sitting in 7th, as you said. So there is wiggle room here. And I think, if anything, one of the best ways to improve as a team is to play more games that are higher pressure. This game certainly fits that category. Postseason games, right, in the new kind of playoff format for Proving Grounds is also that kind of environment. So you obviously want to win and get yourself to play more games at a higher level and play a long postseason, because that's one of the ways you get better. So really, really curious to see how these two teams match up. I think Dignitas, this lineup especially, is like, they have a lot of players that have shown promise in the past, but they seem to have trouble getting cohesion on their teams. TSM Academy, that kind of redid the whole thing and built around their junior player in Sword, but again, still adjusting to a bunch of new players who haven't really played together, even though TSM are interesting to me as an org, because like they've obviously have such a high level of pressure on their LCS team to perform at a high level, right? But I think they have kind of secretly or quietly been developing talent. So it is an example of a player that they have invested in for quite a while and looking to build up. But it's a tough tension, right, between like investing all this time, effort, and money into our LCS team versus wanting to make sure we still keep a good development squad. And I think they're finding the balance, but they're not maybe necessarily doing as much work as a team like 100 Thieves, who have just like churned out crazy good players at every level of play, or Golden Guardians, who have done a great job of showing off their development squads as well. So we'll see what happens. It is, of course, going to start in the draft, which we are going to have right now. And curious to see how the teams want to approach this game, because I think top side is very high-powered for both these teams, but I could also see their bot lanes getting some pressure and carrying Kringer as well. But we are going to start off by banning Sword's Twisted Fate. That seems like a very reasonable place to start, as TSM Academy will ban Seraphine.
He had success with it last week, and although I said it wasn't his best pick, he's still very strong at the pick. And Kaisa, that's kind of a no-brainer. Definitely the top bot laner of the current meta. Udyr, also the top jungler, just out for Acadian. He still has so many options, and I keep wanting to predict that the jungler pick is going to come first, but as we saw last game, the Azir also very much a possibility for Yasui, who is very competent on pretty much anything, and I feel like if he gets his hands on something that's very strong in the meta, he's going to find a way to play it. So TSM Academy have to think about their final ban a little bit harder. I think the Azir could come out. It could also be something like the Olaf or the Rel. Okay, for JJ, very good bans coming out. And Dig Academy, oh, don't get spicy with me. Yeah, that's not happening. No Akali this week.
All right, well, Lolo going to have some fun. Does play all these champions. Actually going to lock in Renekton, though, which is a pretty good blind pick. I do think that Yasui should feel comfortable to counterpick here. Sword might want to pick early so he can get a champions comfortable. I'm not going to pick now, though, as TSM Academy going to go for Volibear and Nidalee. So I assume that's Haunts' counterpick for top lane, and a Bip, of course. If you watch his performance at Worlds at all on Legacy, representing Oceania in that event late last year, here's Nidalee, straight hard carry games on the international stage. He is so good on this champion.
Well, we're going to have to see what he can do in this game, because he has had a couple games so far the split on the Nidalee, and while he has gotten some good KDA scores along the line, he hasn't really found the victories that he's needed, and maybe that's just a communication issue, maybe that's a number of different things that could be happening, but we need to see how the team synergizes as we see the synergy of the bot lane for Dignitas Academy in the Tahm Kench and the Senna. We talked about this pick a little bit last game, but when you have the Senna, you do go into the non-farming mode, and Spawn, I think, is more than happy to do that with the lineup that he has, as long as they enable Yasui to pick something that he's comfortable picking and that can really carry a game.
Yeah, Senna TK is just so good. It's almost like the best insurance you could ever buy, because if Senna's just spending the whole game collecting souls, just chilling out, and has any sort of reasonably flat lane, she will just straight up take over a game in the mid to late game. So I like that pick here. I think Senna is one of those champions that is maybe going to rise in priority, especially if TK is consistently left open to partner with her. But Ezreal here for Cody, which is definitely a comfort pick for many marksmen around the world and here in North America. Certainly Cody's going to feel good on that champion. It has seen kind of a resurgence, you can call it, with Duskblade of Draktar throwing around alongside Essence Reaver, I believe, is the current hotness for Ezreal. So some fun stuff, potentially, as Olaf and Karma, of all things, is going to get banned away, I guess, keeping Fizzy away from that support champion.
I would think that you want to take Fizzy off of the things that have options in terms of engage. If he goes in on the Leona, I feel like that's where a lot of weaknesses start to show up if he has a one-dimensional engage. However, if he has something like a Thresh, and I go back to his Thresh a lot because I think that was his most impressive play thus far, he can really be a menace and make this team come alive. The Ezreal pick I want to talk about for just a quick second, just because, yes, Cody Sun is more than likely to have it. However, there is this outside chance pastry, and maybe I'm just memeing a little bit here, but Sword could take this. This could be the Ezreal mid.
He could. I'd love to see it. We'll see what happens. TSM have left themselves a decent amount of flexibility, but it does feel like this comp is kind of building itself, as Braum going to be the pick into center TK. Seeing Blitzcrank be pretty popular. Seeing, I think Thresh can also be quite good in that situation. Even something like Nautilus to just like try and kill the center, because it can be frustrating, although I think Tom Games kind of invalidates a lot of that, unfortunately. But Bard banned alongside Karma does leave Braum as the pick here. Also, Acadian lost Talia, but I think there are so many good junglers that it doesn't really matter. So we'll see. I guess to add to your potential Ezreal mid memes, they do want an AD mid potentially, having Nidalee. So that is a little bit more credence to something like Ezreal mid, as Lily is going to be locked in here for Acadian.
Well, we're going to have to see exactly what TSM Academy round this comp out with, as Acadian has locked into Lilia, and I think that is something he's going to be really comfortable on. He has shown up on this character before, and I feel like this is no exception. He's going to be able to really run around the map a lot faster than a Nidalee would. Yes, the clear is a little slower, but the momentum that you're going to be able to get and the way that you're going to be able to enable Lorlo and Yasui on his Aurelia is going to be something to watch out for.
He's a bully. He's just straight blind picking Aurelia when TSM are counter picking for their mid laner. That is that's some confidence for Yasui. But like you said, he's very good on this champion. This is actually the champion I first remember him starting to win games on when he was struggling, I believe on TLA last year, if my memory serves. And is going to be Azir there for Sword. Kind of impressive to get such a good control mage so late in the draft, but TSM trying to cover all their bases, wanting to set things up for Sword. And I kind of like what Yasui did here. He's like, Sword probably wants to play a control mage. He probably could have very reasonably guessed Azir. Not that I think Aurelia smashes Azir or anything, but he's at least trying to put pressure on the mid laner that is new to the team, new to competitive certainly at this level, and needs to show up. Azir is not a pick you take to be supportive and help your teammates win. This is the champion you pick to take over the game on, especially when you have Ezreal as your other marksman, because Ezreal is a little bit less reliable, especially with these kind of poke-heavy Dustblade Essence Reaver builds. So I think Sword's going to have pressure here, not just from mid to late in teamfights, but also just Yasui with Ignite Aurelia is going to try and kill him basically from minute 2.
It's going to be really hard for Dignitas Academy, though, to get onto TSM Academy, because when you have Azir and Ezreal as the carries, it's so difficult. How do you do it? Essence Flux comes out every 8 seconds, and you got Emperor's Divide, you got the Stream of Shuffle. You also have Nidalee, who's going to be a squishy character, but also deceptively difficult to kill. And when you have so much engage on Dignitas Academy, you have to worry about, can you actually make that work, especially with something like the Aurelia stun that is deceptively difficult to land on people, as many solo queue players can attest to.
All right, well, it's time for the game here. Dig versus TSM Academy. Going to be a fun one here. As the teams will fan out onto the rift, you can see it's everyone just chilling in their neutral river spots. Nobody going anywhere silly at level 1. But definitely feels like Dig have drafted themselves the aggressive side of this laning phase, especially at least the top half. Center TK very self-sufficient, which is one of the reasons I think it's such a good lane. If you want to think about it this way, I think it's a good weak side bottom lane to play. So I like that. I imagine Spawn and JJ are going to just be chilling out, trying not to get poked out too much by the Ezreal and the Braum. Although given that it's heal, Guardian Braum, probably gonna just be farming in that 2v2, although Cody Sun does have TP, which maybe he can do something with if a fight breaks out. In fact, TSM, if anything, screams we want to play slowly to me as they invade level 1. It's 3 TPs, but like I said, they're heading in already.
And Dignitas is ready for this. They're gonna lick, but the tongue is pretty much all that we're gonna see. The Mystic Shot misses. Cody Sun, what are you doing?
So now what do they do? Because they have to fight or take the buff. Oh, they're just kind of wasting some time. I mean, they're wasting everyone's time, including Dig, so maybe it's not that bad. They are going to start the red, though, and Aurelia can't really get in there. Sword's keeping tabs on the Aurelia, but the red's resetting. TSM, they're going to keep going. The level 1 plan is very clear, apparently.
It's clear, but it's messy. TSM Academy, they keep trying to land the poke, but Spawn can heal him up, and I gotta feel like Acadian is more than happy to run around.
All right, Cody's okay. It is only the Q
Oh.
there for JJ. Oh, they're flashing in. They got the stun. They know they can get the kill. And there it is. First blood. They just needed a Braum Q to land.
And once it does, I mean, that's the all-in. Cody Sun with the Q and auto attack combo. That's 2 stacks right there. Fizzy was more than happy to just go in, and I like this play coming out of TSM. It looked a little dicey at first, but they made it work. JJ is just such a good target at level 1. Once you know what his ability is, you know he doesn't have the tough skin, and he's going to be completely vulnerable, as in this case, he's trying to move forward, trying to go onto Cody Sun by using the exhaust, but spawn already gone. Fizzy was just too aggressive in the position, and look at that sick cinematic shot. Boom on the pounce, but Bib gets first blood.
Yeah, but we've had the spear already hitting without the stun as well, so really good awareness by TSM to just play for that all-in. I think I'm going to have to stop like setting expectations for teams, because every single time I say something, they do the opposite. We had double ganking Hecarim in the last game. We've had triple TP level 1 invade that lasts almost 3 minutes. And ends up with them getting first blood, but with getting a lead, and Cody and Fizzy pushing in their opponents. It is Fasting Center, as you mentioned, does have the sport item, so going to be much more on the harass you and collect soul side of things, rather than actually get the farm thing. That's actually JJ's job. The top side, yeah, sure, let's check out the top side. Haunter counter-picking here up against Lolo. Volibear, not a champion we've seen much in the LCS, in fact, at all. We haven't seen it at all, if my memory is serving correctly, but has been pretty popular around the world. Certainly good into Camille. That was a pretty pop matchup for a while. Acadian, though, getting on the top side, ruining the 1v1 and missing the E. Doesn't have ulti either, of course, but even though Lolo does have level 4, does have the stun, Haunter just going to wait in and let the wave get pushed in here. Does have his jungler nearby as well, just in case he needs it, but Haunter knows that he's not going to get dove here with his jungler showing in the area most likely, so he can pretty safely face tank this wave and just collect it under tower.
And, you know, weirdly enough, TSM Academy are the ones that don't come out on top of that. Yes, Haunter got out of the gank, but you see Babip trying to move towards the top side. He gets spotted out, tries to get the Rift Scuttler afterwards. Unfortunately, the collapse from Yusui meant he couldn't complete that, so they know its position on the side of Dignitas Academy, and he doesn't get the neutral objective. So, unfortunately, TSM Academy, although they don't lose a life, it's more of a, you know, gentleman's loss than anything else.
Yeah, everything's okay. Mid lane also the same here. His sword already committed TP, so he has to walk back because he's got Ignite this game. But does have boots and a longsword alongside the corrupting pot here. So again, very much playing to all in the Azir, but sword doing the Azir thing and playing back. Stun lands. Yasui does not hit Q. Shows a little bit of restraint there. Didn't really want to take a tail hit. But sword just gathering XP, gathering farm, and I think at this point knows that he's going to be fine in the 1v1. Just has to ward off the potential roams that Yusui could find, especially after Yusui hits 6, which does give him a lot more threat in the 1v1 as well.
The one issue with the setup that Dignitas Academy has is Acadian's never going to be able to get onto Sword. They have to rely on Yusui in order to get the hard CC to land, or Lorlo from an extra early gank coming in with the stun. Otherwise, it's just going to be waiting around, trying to see if Sword pushes up, and if he doesn't, then he's just kind of chilling. He's just safe in the mid lane, farming up, and he's going to be a real terror as the game goes on.
Well, speaking of chilling, Cody Sung with the early Sheen TP's back to lane. This is very pleasant for Ezreal. Just kind of gets to relax. Enemy marksman isn't farming, so like you feel even better mentally, right? Because you know you're out farming with Tom Kench. But this is very, very comfortable. I like that Cody and Fizzy are playing aggressively in this lane. You cannot let Senna and Tom Kench get stuff for free, because if Senna gets control of the 2v2 and just keeps poking you, it's absolutely miserable to play against. So recognizing that they certainly have the advantage, even with very defensive setups on both sides, Summoner and Keystone-wise. As Yasui is just going to be dancing around here in mid. Not 6 just yet, but has to be relatively close. Sword actually beat Aurelia to level 6, but yeah, now Yasui is like, okay, Sword going to have to play a little bit more respectfully. Stun lands, and he goes. Ulti out.
Oh!
Sword going to get ignited, but that's a flash in. That's going to be a kill. Surely not. No, Sword zooms out to safety as if they're ready for the heal, and does manage to get out alive.
Still, though, that was the flex coming in from Yusui. The second he hits 6, he lands the stun, goes in onto Sword, forces Summoner and Ultimate out. That's going to be... Oh, just barely missing the tongue. Unlucky, as there's a back completed. But going back to Yusui, he was able to get out the Summoner spell that he needed. Yes, he burns his own, but he's going to have Ignite back much sooner than Sword is going to have his Teleport back, and he's just going to do that again. Yusui is very strong on this pick, and I imagine that that's not the last we're going to see of this 1v1 matchup, not going the way of Sword.
No, Sword though does have Seekers, so that will help a lot in the 1v1, but no Summoners. no TP to kind of reset the lane quickly, so gonna have to play with even more care. And Noon Quiver already done for Yasui. Really curious to see what item early is gonna go. Actually, most of the earlies I've seen earlier on when I was looking at the champion in the season had Weather on King first, but Noon Quiver does not build into that item if my brain is working. So.
Sounds right.
Curious to see what Mythic Yasui was to go for. Maybe something like Shield Bow, maybe Gale Force, that'd be super hyphy. But TSM are going to get the Dragon there, which is very nice from them. Kind of using that missed kill in the bottom side and after that reset to collect the first Dragon, which is nice. Top side though, Horns are just working Lolo in the 1v1, but Acadian going to come and even it up. Misses the E, gets the spin. Yep, there's the sleep coming in. Horns are going to pop the ulti. No, not yet. Goes to sleep, ulti's away, and Horns is fine.
No summoners burned on either side, just a trade of ultimates as Acadian also shows himself after losing the dragon. It does get something out of Hanser in the ultimate, but it's definitely not what you wanted if you were Acadian. If only the Swirl Seed would land. Unfortunately, that is 2 for 0 in top lane ganks for the Dignitas Academy jungler. And maybe he rethinks his strategy from here on. Maybe he decides, I should help Yasui out. Or maybe even, I could go bot side and get JJ ahead, because we all know who the carry is.
Well, Acadian can at least get the Scuttle Crab. Always feels good for the jungler. Nice work from Haunts there. I think waiting just to maximize like the trade. If he doesn't have to ult, he doesn't want to, but he wants to at least make sure Acadian commits his ulti first. And was pretty confident that he was going to live, and indeed calculated correctly. Rotate up though from Spawn and JJ. This is one of the nice things you can do in this kind of lane. Have some time to roam, actually collecting souls in mid lane. Looks like a swap up for Herald though is the play here, as Sword is busy battling the minions once again. His greatest enemy, of course, is going to be the cannon minion. But it is going to be easy Rift Herald take here for Dignitas. No contest at all for TSM. That's about as cheap as the Rift Herald comes.
And with that pickup, they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure, I imagine, onto mid lane, just because of how dominant Yasui is being. His Ignite is almost back up and times very well with the back that Acadian just took. I would imagine that even Babip being in the area isn't enough to dissuade this. You can see the push coming in from Sword, a little ill-advised, but he's just trying to buy pressure to get Vision onto the river and make sure that he doesn't get ganked, which almost certainly is going to happen in the next minute or so.
Yeah, Sword knows that like he can't just concede the lane, right? He has to be applying pressure and at least letting the minion waves push in and get some vision, but maps lanes at neutral, which means that if Yasui finds the stun, especially if Lilia's in the area, set up a swell seed for the sleep, and ultimate's almost back up for Acadian. Sword knows that he can get killed very, very quickly here. Seeker's Arm Guard not going to be enough protection in a 2v1. Bottom side though, Babip, nice spear into JJ.
Little poke, back and forth. Landing some poke is Spawn as well, so Cody-san taking the minorest amount of damage possible. And both lanes just kind of reset as Babip leaves the lane, and Acadian, pushing towards that mid side, still has the Rift Herald. You can see Yasui going aggressive because he wants this kill. He wants to at least start the fight off, but he's getting poked down. Yeah,
it took a little too much time tied up in the mini wave, unfortunately. Sword actually playing that really well. Haunts are continuing, though, to win trades in the top side. Farm is even, but Haunts is going to get this lane pushed in. Lolo, they're going to be safe as Acadian's up here again. Haunts pops the ulti. Sword's going to miss. Center ulti up there as well, but doesn't hit Haunts. And now Haunts are going to keep fighting, but Lolo has enough damage, and Acadian just prances on up to steal the kill.
Participation, as Acadian would say. Making sure that he was part of the kill. He earned it, as every jungler knows. And with that kill, at the very least, he justifies all the time that he spent going up top. Hanser still has flash, though, so presumably that won't happen again. It was just a little too much pressure coming in from Acadian, and with the Rift Herald pop, this might be the turret. It's going to be down to one play.
Yeah, going to be close, but Lolo and Acadian don't stick around to get the last plate off, but still plenty of money, basically doubling down on the top lane pressure they got, so really nice work from Acadian, making his persistence worthwhile as he picks up the kill. And Haunter will have to try again here, as his tower is now very, very low. Other than that, though, it's pretty chilled out. 100 farm for Cody-san feels good. 110 for Yasui, also feeling good. As Sword is building up towards his first mage item now. Had to stop off for the Seekers, so Yasui didn't kill him instantly. And it does look like my answer to the Noon Quiver question is Shield Bow, alongside that Vampiric Scepter. I was kind of hoping for Gale Force because it would be hilarious, but I think Shield Bow is a lot more sensible.
Shield Force just does so much more for Aurelia. I mean, you have not only the synergy with Conquer, but you also have the synergy with the passive. And so much lifesteal on this character means she is never going to die. And Yasui needs to be someone who's never going to die because there's no proper tank for Dignitas Academy. Sure, the Kench is going to be a little better, but even unbenched, he doesn't do quite enough for the team, especially against the likes of a poke squad that TSM Academy has drafted.
All right, well, bottom side is continuing to farm back and forth. Does look like it will be Essence Reaver into Duskblade here for Cody. I believe Ravenous Hydra is the last capstone on that build, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Haunter on the top side continuing to get in there on Lolo, but he's just worried about the enemy jungler. Like, Haunter's like, man, I could maybe kill you if Acadian wasn't here again, and is actually going to do the ward, pick up the honey fruit, and try and find the enemy jungler. Is now, not going to spot Acadian just yet. Acadian is very sneaky. Sweeping these brushes is unfortunately timeout before that ward happens. So now Haunter knows what's up, and he's going to back away.
But there's also a control ward that was hiding in the river. However, Haunter is pushed up a little far, and this might be a dive coming in from Lorlo and Acadian. They are looking at it, but I think the wave is a little too small to really make that work. And also, Lorlo just has to all in a little too much to make that play work. However, with the information, Babip does go down to the dragon. We'll be able to pick that one up for free, and that puts them at 2 dragons for TSM Academy as we do spawn in for a mountain, I believe, map coming in.
It is Mountain Soul again. Mountain Day today, apparently, as Cody's son is starting to really open up the advantage here in the 2v2. 2v2 hit, good ulti there out of Fizzy. That could look like a kill on spawn, but does burn the heal to stay safe. Still, the pressure is mounting on this tower. Cody, I think, can get maybe one more plate, although the wave, I think, a little too thin to get that. But with 30 seconds, going to try and work out as much extra gold of those towers as he can get. Acadian, though, was not interested in the bottom side, as we kind of expected. It is going to be weak side here for the Senna and the Tahm Kench, even though they are down in farm and kind of letting Ezreal farm up a storm here in the early game. I think they'll be fine with what they've gotten on the top side. A shield boat is done there for Yasui. TSM, though, still on the race to finish off this tower, trying very hard to get it done. They are going to get 4 plates before it falls. Babip is here again. But no kills here as Spawn and JJ play back.
And Cody's son's just going to do a little dirty farming here, getting the last of that wave before the next one pushes in. See Sword also sort of on the rotation, but decides to back off. Cody's son, he's taken a lot of damage, but with Babip nearby, it's not going to mean anything. This turret's going down, and TSM Academy find themselves in an early lead.
Acadian's top lane again. Oh, this time we land.
Interesting.
Haunter going in. Going to go to sleep. TP coming in, though, is going to keep him safe. It was actually 2 TPs. A little bit of value there for TSM Academy, keeping Haunter safe.
That was aggressive coming out of TSM Academy. They decide that, hey, this is the all-in. We got to go for it. Both players, maybe they didn't talk to each other before doing that. Maybe that was all planned. But at the very least, Cody Sun's in the top lane, and they have initiated the lane swap. Hopefully this brings them an advantage, because honestly, losing 2 teleports for a flash is not great, as if my math is not terrible.
I would agree. That seems like a very reasonable evaluation of that particular spot. As you mentioned, though, Rift Herald is available, so Babip is going to use the express delivery service that Cody's son implemented to pick up that objective, and should be able to get the second Herald for his squad. Also, they did get the bottom tower as well, so no trade yet on that front for Dig, although top lane outer is very low. You imagine that will happen pretty soon. But this does give some extra time for TSM to try and find another tower, maybe that top side that Cody's got pushed in, ideally the mid lane, although that is obviously the hardest one to get. Babip with the Herald going to have 4 minutes to make a decision, and is going Night Harvester, which you'll love to see. I was curious if Babip was going to go Moonstone or not, but not this game at least. Babip is going to be on the carry side of Nidalee builds today.
I would hate to see that, because as you said, Babip is so known for this Nidalee. You saw it at Worlds. He can carry with this champion. You just need to give him the tools to do so, and Moonstone Renewer not known as a carry tool. So Sword is going to be under pressure for the moment. Acadian, he is just prancing forward menacingly. Does manage to pick up the Gromp for the moment, but will be forced to back out because of Haunter's presence. And just kind of a back and forth pressure.
Yeah, kind of curious to see where Senna is up to actually on the stack front. Keep my eye out for the little bottom left-hand corner. But if we can get a look at spawn in a mo, we'll see. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Observers. 57 stacks. Not bad at all. Collecting even more as well. Make 60. It 60. Nice and clean.
Cool. All right, so working his way up, able to get a lot of poke in lane at the 16-minute mark. Will be able to hit his crit maximum relatively soon. He should be at the point where he wants to farm, as he does have the sickle completed, and should be able to start dealing damage to Cody's son for real this time, and not just kind of be a nuisance as he was in lane.
Yeah, I think again, as the center scaling happens, can certainly be pretty good. Even though Ezreal's range is very long, effectively, with those Qs, Senna is much longer if the game goes late, especially, and she collects many souls. As Reckless so wonderfully demonstrated in the LEC in recent weeks. That was a fun one. Dig, though, just kind of chilling out. Again, like, they're not losing too much here. Yes, they're down 500 gold, but Biv's got the Rift Herald, which could cause more problems. Looks like he is going to drop at top side, because that's the easier of the available outer towers to take, and Cody San has already done such a good job of clearing this out already. Did aim for spawn there instead of the wave. But Cody, I think, just trying to delay the recalls and give them more space. But bottom lane, outer tower does fall as a result, as Dignitas finally get that tower trade in they've been looking for.
And with that, 30 seconds are, Dragon is coming up. You saw the top lane play coming in from TSM Academy, and now they're getting their back timings just now. This will put Dignitas Academy in a little bit of a better position. They will be able to get the vision that they need set up around, but as I say that, they are going to back off, so vision is all they're going to acquire. They're not going to defend this Dragon as hard as I thought they would, as this would put TSM Academy to soul point, but they might figure that Mountain Dragon Soul just isn't worth it at this point in the game, and they can especially fight later on as they wait for Spawn to kind of get up, and also Yusui to get to the Aurelia point where he can really start to just 1v1 anyone on the map.
Oh, they actually do make it back first, which is nice. So good timing on their part. JJ didn't even use the Abyssal Voyage or anything like that. I was trying to track the cooldowns, but they just walked there. So also have to reset because you need gold, because you're expecting a fight for this objective, but the Herald is going to be dropped mid as TSM run the classic distraction play, but Acadian's already on the objective, but Aurelia over the top on a Fizzy. Senna ulti on top as well. Go to sleep, everyone. 3B, I believe, picked up there for Acadian. At least two as the front side does fall. Snoozy, but Dignitas going to take this Dragon, and TSM just not wanting to go in. Really good zoning there from Dig. They take the objective as Cody is just barreling down mid lane. He's going to take 2 towers here.
That's definitely the right response if you get 2 mid turrets for that, and even maybe a charge onto the inhibitor turret. That's definitely a worthwhile play. Yes, TSM Academy lose the Dragon, but they are at a point where they can give up another Dragon for free, and it won't really affect them at this point. Dignitas Academy have to rethink their strategy, and if they're going to go for those fights, they have to do more than zone. They have to get the picks. Otherwise, they're never really going to get ahead in this game.
Jungler here, Yusui, actually pretty strong already in the 1v1 with the Ignite ticking especially. Haunter now going to finally commit the ultimate, but here's the swell seed up. Haunter trying to finish off Yusui, gets himself a shield, but Acadian's just going to dance on around. Haunter flashing and trying to get the kill, but doesn't grab it, and Acadian just dances Volibear to death.
I didn't know about that flash. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Pastry. Hansar thought he could get in range, but unfortunately Volibear doesn't really have ranged options once the E is down. So a little ambitious coming out of the top laner of TSM Academy, and pretty well played out of Yusui and Acadian, knowing that the ultimate for Lilia wasn't available.
That was going to be the exact word I was going to use, so I would agree. Hansa just trying to get a trade there, does not grab it, instead falls down to the very persistent Acadian. Hasn't ganked, like, doesn't have that many kills, right? Has actually the only 2 that Dignitas currently have. This is an extremely low-kill game as they check in on the scoreboard. My goodness. 20 minutes
both on Hanser. Oh my.
But yeah, Acadian has been, he knows where he wants to gank. It's not about sides of the map, it's about enemy champions. And he's trying to pick on Hanser.
And is this the part where, as analysts, we look at this and go, ooh, look at the advantage bot side? Or do we go above that right now, Pastry, and we say we know it's a Senna, Spawn is there, and he is perfectly okay being 4,000 down to Cody's son, who admittedly has made quite an impact on this game, has taken towers, and is even getting a lot of poke down onto JJ. This could turn into a fight.
Cody is kind of unleashed here. 2 items finished already, including the Mythic. So Cody's just going to keep poking, and now Acadian looks for the play.
Sword!
Finds the sleep, gets the carry. Yusui over the top. That's the shutdown they're looking for, but it's going to go down as well. Fizzy surely going to meet his end as well, as JJ needs to get Aurelia back out of there. And under Bavip, hit the Q button, indeed does, and there's the last order to finish it off as Dignitas finds 3 clean kills.
And this is the turnaround they were looking for. They got the clean fight that they needed. Sword had a pretty decent Emperor's Divide, but unfortunately, Yusui was just right where he needed to be, was able to capitalize on all the sleeps, and even stunned. You felt the presence. You felt that he was going to do a lot, and the Baron pickup afterward is icing on the cake. TSM Academy are trying to defend, but with 5 members left standing, and most of them relatively healthy, there's no way to get in on this.
Alright, well now Spawn going to be chasing away Sword as he's going to be forced to get off. The Baron does go over to Dignitas, so a very good passage of play there for Dig. They're up now 2k, they've got the Baron, they're going to get even further ahead, you have to imagine, and you know, Fed Ezreal, pretty good, but not as good as that engage from Dignitas.
It's a lot of poke that lands early on, but onto JJ, not ideal, because if you can't kill him immediately, then there's no real point in poking at Tahm Kench. He's just going to save all the backline. And you can see Yusui on the side is more than happy to just watch his teammates as they do everything they need to set him up for the big plays. Tahm Kench, of course, gets the shutdown. He earned it as the BIP under pressure just continues to fall. And Yusui, he found the Aurelia point. He's finally here. He pressed the Q button, and Dignitas Academy, they capitalize exactly the way they needed to at 20 minutes into the game.
Yeah, Cadian is just like working TSM, I feel like, in all his engagements, right? He's like he's been involved in all of the kills. He got the only 2 like side lane kills there on Holzer with that gank in top lane, and then just diving effectively down in the bottom side of the map. And then finds the angle on the team fight, gets to sleep one of the carries. Ezreal, like, traditionally pretty hard to get a hold of, and Acadian set that up for his team. Made sure the Drake snowball stopped as well. And now TSM, who were feeling pretty comfy, just like playing passive and farming up, find themselves very far behind. And especially if this Baron yields significantly more towers, it'll be a struggle here as Dignitas not able to quite find all that much, actually. TSM doing a good job of just sticking together as 5 in mid, although the side lane is starting to eat some pressure from Yusui in the bottom lane there.
We are 30 seconds away from Dragon, and both these teams are fighting around it for the moment. However, TSM Academy, they're trying to stay as close together as possible, a clump against Yusui. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work out for them in the long run, but for the positioning for the moment, they are able to find a little bit of pressure mid, and they are able to bait the Baron just for a little while, which is all they're looking for. They're trying to not make the Baron power play significant at this stage in the game for Dignitas Academy.
Also have to think about this Dragon as well. Up in 2 seconds, TSM wondered if they can get it, but not sure they'll be able to. Acadian continuing to look for sleep, but doesn't find a swell seed this time. And TSM going to clear what vision they can. Can't clear the speed shrine, of course, as where are we going with the Tahm Kench? Oh, bottom side.
Well, he can kind of go everywhere. The frog goes as he pleases, as he does take the bottom side. Acadian starts up the Dragon. TSM Academy, I don't know if they're looking to fight because they don't know where Yusui is, and they know how much of a terror in Aurelia is when you don't see her on the map.
Cody not put to sleep though, so maybe TSM can at least look for the 50-50. Dragon resetting, and now Lolo's finding the flank. Yusui also with the angle.
Oh.
Is he going to let the ulti rip? Finds Acadian, but there's the center over the top, and Lolo found the flank angle, but going to get pushed back there by Silver. The damage just too much as Lolo takes down Fizzy. Yusui takes down Cody, and Dig once again. They'll win the team fight here. They'll grab the Dragon as well. Yusui's chasing Haunter. Sword gets exhausted. JJ on the run. Center flashes in. Fabric now in trouble as Sword gets over the wall. And Dignitas 2 kills on a Dragon. They'll take it.
And with that, Dignitas Academy find themselves another team fight win. Able to hold Yusui back as long as they needed to, and then the second someone shows vulnerable, Fizzy in that instance, gets caught out and starts the Aurelia reset train. Able to make Dignitas Academy soar to new heights, and now they push down the mid lane, no longer with Baron, but with all the pressure that they need.
Alright, well, mid outer not dead just yet.
Okay.
Is it pretty tough to get through? But we'll just one again. Dig just biding the time and then finding the angle. There's no way for TSM to run here.
Lorlo is able to buy a lot of time in the back line. You can see he goes in onto Cody's son, giving his life so that Yusui can follow up with him. And that's what I love about this Dignitas Academy squad, is the synergy that they have between players. We talked about how TSM synergy is pretty good. I think Dignitas has really shown throughout the season that when they play together, they can do a lot of good. And especially when they put Yusui on a carry, they can show how this team really shines.
Yeah, I really love this Aurelia, especially as a piece of like anti-Cody Sun technology, right?
Yeah.
Cody is a really good team fighter. And Ezreal's the kind of marksman that, like, especially with Dustblade, he starts getting like invis resets. It's just impossible to kill this champion. So Cody's Yusui's like has one job, knows that he has to go after Cody as hard as possible, does indeed get it, and then from there it's very tough for TSM to win that kind of team fight, or Azir isn't able to set up because there's a Renekton and an Aurelia in your backline. So Dig looking good. They're up 2,500 gold, like not a massive gold lead, but they've managed to get themselves 2 dragons, so TSM don't really have that avenue unless the game goes super late. Unfortunately for them, their Baron actually didn't get that much tower-wise. They actually still haven't gotten the mid-outer tower, if you want to have a look at just how effective Azir is at keeping towers up, but also TSM's commitment to making sure that objective was alive during the Baron push. But Yasui can certainly side lane now. Like, no one can duel this Aurelia. The Dignitas should be able to open up this map even more, secure themselves vision around probably the next Baron, and certainly poised to win this game and keep our 4 tiebreaker games alive.
Yep, Dignitas Academy does need to win this game if we want the 4-way tie. It also has to have a Golden Guardians win for the next game, so be on the lookout for both of those things happening. At the moment, Dignitas Academy are poised in a better position. However, it is by no means set in stone who's going to win this game. Dignitas do have the push, will be able to get this very low tower, and finally secure the objective after 27 minutes that allows them to roam around the map freely and maybe even get some vision around the Baron, because you can see how TSM Academy has set up vision around the Dragon. They're going to need to replace all 4 of those control wards if they want to move forward. You can see they've already replaced 1, and they're trying to position themselves in this bush. Again, grouping up against Yasui doesn't feel like the best option here.
Yeah, certainly kind of tough here because TSM just really have Ezreal as the poke, and that's it right now. I guess Nidalee as well can maybe help out on that front, but the straight up like all-in 5v5s, the Digga setting up, not going TSM's way, I think for obvious reasons. I guess the other thing to consider here in this game is that, Digga have something more selfish on the line, right? A win here does give them a chance at clinching that 6th spot here. They're not guaranteed at all. FlyQuest can still steal it depending on the rest of the results. Dig actually will be Golden Guardians fans by the looks of things, if they do win this game. But, you have to win it to at least have a shot. So otherwise TSM are going to claim that final spot here. So if they do want that automatic berth into Proving Grounds, Dignitas at least have to do their side of the work, which is winning this game against TSM.
And they still have the tools to do it. They just need to split up a little bit. Let Cody's son get the poke that he needs. Maybe even set up a 4-1 if need be, because this team does not work well if they're stacked as 5 against a team fight comp like Dignitas Academy. They work well when they're working against each other, when they have a split map and an ability to push different lanes. At the moment right now, you can see blue side is pushing out all the lanes. Hanser is trying to put himself in the bot side, but he can't fight anyone because Acadian's too fast to come in. It's never going to be a pure 1v1, and even if it is, JJ and Spawn very easily can follow up on any matchup that's going on the map.
All right, well, 35 seconds until the 5th overall Drake will spawn in this game. That's a lot of Drakes.
A lot of them. But you know what? I have a feeling we're going to have even more, because this is only the 3rd dragon for either squad. Soul point for whoever gets it. And quite honestly, I think Dignitas Academy want it a little bit more just to deal with the poke squad. However, they're looking at the Baron right now, and they're going to start it up.
Yeah, Baron damage not bad, actually. Kraken Slayer Rageblade Center is online now after the spawn, who's been the quieter of the marksmen in this game, but certainly is ready to go on the DPS front here, also with a pretty big soul count. We have to imagine last we checked a while ago it was 60, but it is Acadian once again. Oh, he spins to win. There's a pushback from Soul, but everyone's asleep. Center ulti over the top.
Yasui
flashes in to kill Cody, and Yasui's popping off. He grabs the double. He's going to make it perhaps 3 as Hornster does indeed make it the triple, and Sword, the only one left to not get aced, is going to get himself over the wall, just barely safe. But Spawn, how long? Not enough souls. All right, Sword's going to be fine. But Dignitas are going to go 4 kills on their Baron. They'll take it instead of the ace.
I'm just saying, Spawn had flash there. That's my only real criticism of that play. He could have done it. He could have done it.
Should have done it, I think. But Baron instead will be the collection here, as Dignitas are going to grab themselves probably the game-winning objective, you have to think. Not over yet, but 7,000 gold ahead. They can go ahead and take this dragon to give themselves the opportunity at Soul Point. And should be able to break open at least one of these inhibitor towers and open up some supers onto the next. But again, Acadian just keeps finding these, multi-man spin sleeps.
He's just really the silent hero of this entire game. Yes, he was able to do a lot in the early game, but every single engage is him. He goes in, he lands 3 people in his sleep. Yasui follows up and becomes more of the loud hero, the one that, the poster boy of the team more than anything else. Dignitas Academy follow up by chasing Sword. That doesn't work out, but they have the game plan under wraps. They know what they need to do, and Acadian's been able to execute every single time with the Leandri's Lilia, and I, for one, am very glad that he didn't go the Moonstone Renewer, because damage is more fun always.
Yep, I have to agree, and I think Acadian with his performance this game will also agree with you, but Hornets are now going to chase in on Sololo, trying to find something, but TSM, not much they can really force here with the champions they have. And Cody has somehow, just keeps getting himself killed. And, it's not necessarily his fault. I think Acadian is doing such a good job finding the initiations, but Ezreal is supposed to be, a again, like, untouchable. You know, all these blinks, this Duskblade invis, like, so slippery and mobile, but without, you know, a QSS or a cleanse to get out of the initial engage that Acadian is setting up, Cody's just having a bad time because Acadian just singles him out every single fight. And if they only slept Cody and got that kill, they would be happy. But Acadian's doing even better than that in this initiation. So TSM very far on the back foot now, down almost 8,000 gold. It's going to be up to Dignitas to, again,
Flash?
Get to sleep on it a bit. No flash. But Acadian's ulti cooling down real quick this time. Look, level 16, look at that go. It's almost back up and ready to go.
It's pretty close, and TSM Academy, they have to play reactive once again because the Baron is there. They got the 4-1 set up on the side of Dignitas Academy, and they are looking to push down this top side, which definitely not the turret you want to be defending if you're TSM Academy.
And the figure like damage, Acadian has converted his 10-stack Darktila into now a 10-stack Magi's, so even more stacks can be collected. Also, you have more to lose now, but that's not the mindset Acadian's coming into his next team fights with, that's for sure, as they'll take the tier 2 in top lane. That was the last one TSM had left. Now just these inhibitor towers to try and defend.
If you're 3-0, I think you're feeling yourself a little bit, and 10 stacks on the Magi is definitely where you want to be. One more assist going to be launching that up. You already have the movement speed, but you know what? Why not make it more AP? JJ trying to push forward. Dignitas Academy still on this top side. They have about 30 seconds left on this Baron before it wears off, and TSM Academy, they're just stuck in the base. They got to find a way out, and although they have options for engage, they are very difficult to play against Lorlo and Yasui, who, if they don't get stunned immediately, are going to be able to go on the back line. And Cody's son, we all know how it is playing bot lane. He's just going to go down no matter what.
All right, well, Baron has one off, so that's good news for TSM Academy. Dig actually couldn't find all that much of a siege, unfortunately. Just kind of curious. We'll get a reset here. Have a check-in with the center stacks, because that range has to be pretty big. Again, last time we checked, which I can't even remember when it was 60. We'll have a check-in on the center stacks once we hover over that champion. Also, Dragon is up in a minute 50. That will be the soul for Dig if they get it. That'll be 4 straight Mountain Drakes for them as well. But just in general, looking across the numbers, they're all good. You know, it's 2 deaths. One for Lolo and 1 for JJ. Everyone else is feeling good. Does have a lot of bounty gold that they can maybe give away, which you don't want to be doing, but certainly in a very big position of power. They're actually almost up to 10,000 gold ahead, despite not breaking that many towers on the last Baron play.
And with that, TSM Academy, they have to think about their next move, because they can't let the Soul go down, they can't let the Baron go down, and they can't lose a team fight. What can they possibly do? Right now, the answer seems to be send Hanzo to the top side, do that 4-1 that we were talking about earlier. But unfortunately, Dignitas Academy, they have the answer to that, and that's Lorlo. Just send him to the top. He's more than capable of taking out the big bear, and really is happy to be getting the extra farm as well. TSM Academy, for the moment, have advantage on this dragon. They got vision, but that ward in the backside really scares me, considering how many teleports they have up, and by how many, it's 1. Dignitas Academy have the ability to get in behind, and Yasui might be in a little bit of trouble here.
But who's trapped in with who? Ooh, here comes Tom Kent as well to save the day. It's now 4 in favor of Dignitas, and that fight's just going to go all in Dignitas' favor. Sword now going to get eat. Yasui going to get a double, going to make it 3 almost, as Acadian secures the next one. And now Haunter, the only TSM member left alive, is going to get stunned up by Lolo and killed by the rest of Dig, as that ace will prompt the end of the game. TSM going to fall down to Dignitas Academy. Surely they can push through here.
I like several parts of the end of that. Mostly JJ eating Hanser just to flex, and then Hanser using his flash in place just to flex. Lorlo doing the same. Really just a back and forth of the meeting of the minds coming out for Dignitas Academy as they pick up this win and bring us to a possible 4-way tie scenario.
Yeah, going to give themselves the opportunity to maybe claim 6. The Dignitas are going to claim the win against TSM in pretty strong-looking fashion, to be honest. Acadian just persistent in the top lane and showed off that, you know what, it's not about, you know, the ganks or how often you look for 1 kill. It's about multiple kills with the Lilia. And even if the ganks looked kind of silly at sometimes, where he was poking in so often into top lane, he made it work in the skirmishes and the team fights, that's for sure.
You know, we are living in a bully meta right now, Pastry Time, and sometimes you just got to find that top laner. You got to say, hey, Hanser, you're not going to have a fun time. And even if you think Hanser's a big bear, he's going to be able to take care of himself, he unfortunately found himself in a bear market and had to hibernate for most of that. Very unfortunate. And Dignitas Academy playing to their strengths once again. The communication overall just fantastic and very well drafted, very well played. Clean execution overall.
Yeah, I like it. Again, kind of continuing my thought of like, I think Center Tom Kent is just so good if you want to play weak side bot lane. Like Cody was destroying in farm. If you look at, even if you like started to combine Center and Tom Kent's farm in that lane, Cody was so far ahead, like consistently threatening to take over fights, certainly outpoking in every possible engage. But Acadian was like, doesn't matter how much gold Ezreal have, if we kill him, gold's irrelevant. And Sword couldn't really get any pressure happening because he got basically like blind counterpicked by Yasui, which was really, really cool to see. And I think a nice confidence thing for Yasui to do, but also just knowing that like Sword probably wants to play this kind of control mage. So I just need to apply pressure with Ignite Aurelia, and that's certainly something that Yasui can do. Really fun, honestly. Like, a very well played game for Dig, and I'm curious to see if they'll make it further into top 6. But for now, we're going to be going to a break. But when we come back, we'll have an interview with the bot laner, actually, of Dig. It's going to be Spawn on the line, so don't go too far. Welcome back for the post-game interview presented by Verizon. I'm Pastry, that's still Kate in the Rage, and we have the marksman, the AD, the bot laner of Dignitas Academy. It is Spawn joining us here for the post-game interview. Spawn, that looked kind of rough there, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, Ezreal, not the most aggressive champion I would have expected. How are things in the fasting center with Ezreal and Brom up in your business from level 1?
I mean, level 1, it went a little rough because they got our bot side jungle, but I mean, we adapted, and I was just trying to farm souls off Braum and, you know, not die. So I think we scaled up well from bot lane.
And I gotta ask, because we've seen so many Sennas coming out, especially the fasting Senna. Is Senna the Braum of bot laners? Is that just, or the, not the Braum, the Ornn of bot laners? Is that just what you play because you have to play it?
Kinda. You know, it's not my favorite champ, but it's really strong, helps the team, so I'm down to play it.
I'm curious, how many souls did you have at the end of that game? Because I didn't have a chance to check in, and we checked in like kind of early and you had 60. So do you know how many you ended with roughly?
I think around 130. I saw 120, and then game kept going a little bit, so I'd say about 130, 140.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty good as it turns out here. Was that kind of the plan, I guess, in the draft, just to like, all right, you're getting center Tom Kench, play weak side, have fun, you get invaded level 1, but thankfully your top side's winning?
Yeah, you know, we're really happy with our draft, and we thought Senna TK farm up really strong, and you know, we had a really good top side to play too, so I think it was good.
And overall, a very dominant game. But moving forward, like, this next game could mean a potential 4-way tie of the 4 teams between you, 100 Thieves Academy, Immortals Academy, and FlyQuest Academy. Which team are you least looking forward to playing?
I don't think it really matters.
Ooh.
We'll be good with any team.
I like the confidence.
And then, of course, you're someone I talked to end of last year, I believe, for Scouting Grounds, and now obviously in Academy here for Dignitas. How's your experience been like in the league? And are you looking forward to kind of previewing grounds and playing maybe some of the amateur players you've seen out there in tournaments or on the ladder?
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to keep playing. I think Academy's been a lot of fun. Our team's been gelling well as the week goes on, so it's just getting more and more fun each week.
And I asked this a couple weeks ago to the other interested party, but between you and Coach Spawn of Team Liquid, who do you think is going to crack first in terms of changing your name?
I don't know. Time will tell. We'll see. I like the name.
I think just keep it to it happens.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like it suits you, especially when you win in style on Senna. Spawn, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to chat.
Thank you, guys.
All right. It is Game 3 coming right up. The 4-way tie is still on the line, but we'll have to see who wins there. It's 100 Thieves vs Golden Guardians Academy coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere.